Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How many people, this is your first time seeing Rebecca Sheir in Circle Round? Wow, this is so exciting. And what a perfect thing to do on a raw, rainy day. My name's Amy McDonald. I'm the director of CitySpace. You guys are in for such a treat. So The Lion's Whisker is their fourth Circle Round book. It's for sale in the lobby, as I know many of you know, along with some of their other books. Rebecca will be signing afterwards, so if you didn't get a chance to take a picture or meet her, you'll be able to do so after this event. After the reading, we're going to take Q&A from all you kids and adults. You can ask a question too, but kids are a priority. So I'll be running around with this microphone. Raise your hand, don't be shy, and we're going to have a long Q&A session with all of you. If you haven't joined the Circle Round Club, I encourage you to do so. You can go to the QR code here. You can also just sign up in the lobby. You get this beautiful lion's whiskers. If you do, there are various levels. It's very affordable. And for $10 a month, you get a personalized birthday message from Rebecca Sheir. So think about that. With no further ado, please welcome Rebecca Sheir and Eric Shimelonis.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rebecca Sheir. And thank you so much for circling around with us today at WBUR CitySpace. It is so good to see all of you. I know we have folks in from San Diego and Nashville and Vermont. I think there might have been a Chicago as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to see you all in person. In case you don't know, I am the writer and host of Circle Round, and joining me on stage is my partner in podcasting and in life, Eric Shimelonis. Being here means so much to us, as does seeing all of you. It's always a treat to circle around with our fans in person and virtually. We've got some dozens of people joining us from all around the world today, so thank you. Now, this book we're about to read is adapted from an episode we did back in 2017, The Lion's Whisker. Does anyone know what it means if you adapt something? Any idea what that might mean? How about bright orange in the front here? All right, how about the hand up in the center? Yes, right there.
It could be to be flexible or change something slightly.
There you go, changing something slightly, or if you're adaptable, yes, you can be flexible. Thank you. Every time we write a Circle Round episode, we adapt it from folk tales that have been told around the world for many, many, many generations. And with the picture books, we've taken it one step further and adapted the stories you hear with your ears for books that you read with your eyes. So if you're familiar with the episode The Lion's Whisker, does anyone know that one? Have you heard The Lion's Whisker, the brother and sister who can't quite get along? Many of you, yes. The book is a little bit different. So as we're reading, try to pick out the similarities and differences. And a huge difference, of course, is the artwork. All four Circle Round books are illustrated by artists who live in different places around the world. And Nikita Abuya lives in Kenya. And I've never met her, but we've emailed a ton over the past 2 years working on this book. It's her artwork that you're going to see on the screen behind us. And in terms of what you're going to be hearing, if you've been listening to Circle Round for a while, you might know that every single episode each season is scored or accompanied by a different musical instrument played by this guy. Eric, can you hold up the instrument you're playing today? Any guesses what this beautiful instrument is called? Metal and wood? How about right there? Any guesses? How about sitting next to you?
A
Guiro? I think we've used a guiro on an episode, but this is a different instrument from somewhere else in the world. Toward the back. Kalimba, it's very similar to a kalimba. It's sort of a larger, deeper kalimba. How about right there, Costa Rica? Did you say marimba? The letters are close, and we have used marimbas. If you sort of jumble the letters of marimba around, you'll get the name of this instrument. How about in the stripes right there? Close. We're getting closer and closer. How about that young gentleman who happens to be my son, Igor? It's called the mbira. Thank you, Igor. Eric's used the mbira in a lot of episodes. Cowbells and cowbells. Does anyone remember that episode with Billy Porter playing the mean? I think he was a farmer. Three Little Critters, where Spider goes up to get the light, and Leopard's Rhythm was another one where he used the mbira. And you're about to hear it now as we read The Lion's Whisker. Circle round, everyone. It isn't always easy getting along with others, right? Right? Am I right? Yeah. Sometimes you don't want to share, or you don't feel like waiting your turn. In this story, we'll meet a sister and brother who know exactly how you feel, and they think they can find the answer through magic. Versions of this folktale have been told in Ethiopia, a country in East Africa. As you read this story, or listen, think about someone you have trouble seeing eye to eye with, whether it's a family member, classmate, or friend. How do you think you could get along more successfully? Well, sit back, get cozy, and circle round for The Lion's Whisker. One summer morning, sister and brother raced downstairs and headed to the kitchen for breakfast. But as they approached the table, they saw there was only one piece of injera bread left. Brother and sister both grabbed for it. I sat down first. That injera is mine. No, I sat down first. I'm always faster than you. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. Why do you always do this? Why do you always do this? Stop mimicking me. I'm not mimicking you. It's my injera. No, it isn't. This kind of arguing was common in the house. Sister and brother fought over everything. Toys, turns, and yes, food. Just then, grandmother entered the room. Children, I have been listening to you fighting since you were wee small things. You're growing older now. Isn't it time the two of you got along? But grandmother, he drives me crazy, and she drives me crazy. The old woman smiled a knowing smile. Well, it isn't always easy having a sibling, but I may know of something that could make things better. A potion with one very special ingredient. The children became interested. What's the special ingredient, grandmother? Yeah, what is it? It's a lion's whisker. The mention of a mighty, majestic lion made sister's eyes light up. We can get it for you, grandmother. We can get a lion's whisker? Sister, you aren't thinking straight. A lion's whisker? We can't possibly do that. Brother might have been scared, but he was also curious. He watched as sister grabbed a piece of meat from the kitchen and ran out the door. Then he crept out the door behind her. Brother stayed a few steps behind as sister raced through the forest and up to the river. Brother jumped behind a tree close by. He did not want her to see him. Sister set the meat near the water. Then she jumped behind a bush to hide. A few hours later, a mighty, majestic lion emerged from the forest and walked up to the river. He sniffed the meat, looked around, then gulped it down before slipping back into the forest. Sister was proud of herself for being so brave. Brother was proud of her too, but he was too angry from their fight at breakfast to tell her so. As sister headed back to the village, brother followed silently behind. The next morning, when sister told brother she was returning to the river, brother thought about it for a minute. "I'll keep you company." Sister and brother walked to the same spot along the river, this time traveling side by side. They quietly set out 2 pieces of meat this time, then hid behind the bushes and waited patiently. Hours later, they spotted the lion slinking out of the forest toward the water. "There he is! I see him!" Sister and brother grabbed each other's hand as the lion sniffed the meat. The mighty, majestic creature gobbled the meat up before padding back into the forest. As sister and brother headed back to the village, they knew what they had to do the next day. They would ask the lion for a whisker. It was the only way to help grandmother make her special potion. And that potion was the only way to get them to stop fighting. Right? The next day, when brother and sister came back to the river, they didn't hide behind a bush. Instead, they stood straight and tall, hand in hand, right along the water. Before long, the lion approached, looking for meat. Still holding hands, sister and brother crept toward the mighty, majestic beast. When they were just a few feet away, they each took a deep breath and addressed the lion. "King Lion, we are the children who left you meat over the past 2 days. Now we have a question we'd like to ask. You see, we're sister and brother, and we can't seem to get along. We fight over everything, and we wonder if you could please give us one of your whiskers so that our grandmother can make a special potion to make us stop fighting." The lion lifted his head, blinked his eyes, then took a few slow steps toward sister and brother. He sat down on the ground and brought his face in close. Sister gently pulled out one of the lion's long, slender whiskers. Then she and brother flashed the lion an appreciative grin. "Thank you, King Lion. Thank you so much. We are truly grateful and will leave you in peace." The lion nodded his shaggy golden head, then disappeared into the forest. Sister and brother ran straight home to grandmother. "We did it! We got the lion's whisker. That is wonderful, children. Just wonderful. You did it!" Sister and brother gazed at grandmother with hopeful eyes. "So, can we have our potion now?" "Yes, please. Our potion." To sister and brother's surprise, grandmother shook her head. "But my sweet darlings, there isn't any potion." Sister and brother didn't understand. "No potion? How could there be no potion?" "Children, it wasn't easy waiting for that lion or asking him for his whisker. But you did it. Together. You showed patience, courage, understanding, the same things you need to get along. A potion cannot soothe fighting hearts. Only you can make things better." Sister and brother exchanged a look as they considered what grandmother said. The next morning, after a good night's sleep, sister and brother rushed to the kitchen for breakfast. When they reached the table, they found just 1 piece of injera left. Brother almost grabbed it for himself, but then he thought twice. "Why don't we split it, sister?" "That's a good idea, brother. A very good idea." After that, sister and brother didn't stop fighting altogether, but they did quarrel less. They tried to listen more and be kinder with their words. It could be hard sometimes, but hey, it was definitely easier than getting a lion's whisker. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming to WBUR CitySpace today and helping us celebrate this 4th picture book. We are so excited for you to read this book and all of our books so that you can circle around with us in a whole new way. And I should point out, before we go to our Q&A, every Circle Round episode ends with me coming in and saying, now it's your turn. And we do an activity or a craft, or we bring up a topic for discussion for you to do after the story's over. All 4 Circle Round books are full of now it's your turn activities. There are at least a dozen per book. So after you read the book for 10 minutes, all week long, you can still reflect on the story and still have a good time. At this point, we'd love to hear from you. If you have questions about the show, we're happy to answer. You can ask about our stories, our actors, how Eric plays 40 different instruments every season, because I have no idea. Microphone will come your way, and please ask away.
I don't know what a microphone is.
No, you don't have to know. Just talk.
What does this thing do?
What does the microphone do?
This is so everyone can hear your question.
We have people tuning in from all over the world.
How does he play 40 different instruments?
Come on over, Eric. Or you got a mic? Okay.
Well, since I was your age, I've always enjoyed playing not just one instrument. Some people focus on one instrument and become a virtuoso. That's a nice path. Mine was always trying to play everything. So when Circle Round came along, it was a dream come true because now I'm justified in playing all these different instruments. And now I'm always researching, looking at what stories are coming next from where in the world, and accumulating instruments from those parts of the world and learning them, and then making music for the show.
Our FedEx delivery people have no idea what's happening at our house. There's a package from China, and then Turkey, and then Thailand, and they don't quite, I think they wonder what's happening in our home.
How do you get the costumes?
The costumes for Circle Round? What do you mean, the costumes?
How do you get the pictures for the book?
The pictures for the book. Well, we had the pleasure of working with Story Publishing. They're part of the Workman and Hachette family, and they were in charge of looking all over the world and finding terrific illustrators to do our pictures. It was our goal to get an illustrator from the region where each story was from. So with The Tale of the Unwelcome Guest, we have an artist who lives in Istanbul, Chaya, who did A Taste of Honey. She lives in India. Joshua Powestekli is a First Nations Ojibwe artist who did The Great Ball Game. And then Nikita lives in Kenya. So I've never met any of them before. I hope to someday. That would be a great party.
How many instruments do you have, Eric?
I'll come right back.
I need to count. We just got a couple more in the last couple weeks. It's quite a lot. And some of them are big things, and some of them are just little trinkety things, because sometimes that's all you need to make some convincing music. So I promise for next time I will count. And I think we need to have a good inventory. And it's something I might try to put online. I think it'd be fun to be able to look at each one, and I could tell a little bit of a story. But I'll get back to you on the actual number, because it changes
Great
every
question.
week.
You gave them an idea. This is our family from Chicago. This is our family from Chicago.
What's your favorite Circle Round story?
What's my favorite Circle Round story? That's like asking which of my 212 kids is my favorite. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm going to say the episode that just came out this past week. It's called The Bird of a Different Feather, which we were able to record live on stage in the Washington, D.C. area. Has anyone heard The Bird of a Different Feather about guinea fowl? Do you remember the sound guinea fowl makes? Can I hear it? So I'm standing next to this actor who keeps going, squawk! And there are 350 people, and I'm trying not to crack up and just have to leave the stage because I'm laughing so hard. That's my favorite episode right now, Bird of a Different Feather.
How long does it take you to make one of those circle around books.
And can you say where you're from?
Oh, and I'm from Portland, Oregon.
Awesome. Welcome, Portland. We hope to come visit you someday for sure and do some circle around episodes out there. That is a goal. The books, one of my illustrators, I was talking with her, I was emailing with her yesterday. The illustrators, we met them 2 years ago. So these books took 1 to 2 years a piece to make. A lot goes into the book. Even though we already had our source material, the episode, there were a lot of back and forths with my editor, the person who helped me with the words, and then a lot of back and forth with the illustrators as they drew sketch after sketch, and we tried to really capture how we wanted these characters to look and feel.
Hi, I'm from Newton. How many circle around episodes have you made?
Igor, how many episodes have we made? Do you know? 210, roughly 210 episodes, also in the early days of the pandemic. We did a few what we called circle round shorties, which were super short little versions that were bonus episodes where Eric, Igor, and I did all the voices because it was the early days and everyone was in lockdown. And so something like 210, 214. Yeah, it's a lot.
What is the lines? How did you make the lines? How did you get the lines, Whisker, the book?
That's a great question. How did we get Lines, Whisker, the book? Because with over 200 episodes and we only have 4 books, how do you choose? So there was a lot of talking with me and the publishers, the people who sent the books out into the world, about which of our episodes would do really well visually. We also wanted our books to span the world as much as possible. We knew we were doing The Tale of the Unwelcome Guest, which primarily comes from the Middle East. We knew we were doing A Taste of Honey, which is India. We knew we were doing The Great Ball Game, which is First Nations and Native American. And we thought, what if we do a wonderful African story and one that's about children, where the main characters are kids? We thought it was a perfect fit for a book for children.
Which actor is your favorite?
Oh boy, which actor? I know which actor is Eric's favorite. You want to talk about Coyote's Wild Ride?
Oh, yeah. You know that one? That was special as Alan Tudyk, who played Coyote. He and I go way back. The first play that I ever worked on in New York City, he was in, fresh out of the Juilliard School. And he's since gone on not only to be in television, but he has voiced at least a dozen characters in Disney films. And he's so good at it. And he came and took a script and went way beyond the script and gave us way more than we asked for and really made a character. Sometimes we're so lucky to work with all of these actors and we're thrilled, but sometimes someone really gets what we're trying to do. And he just came with all of that game. And we had to confer after that session to decide what of all these improvisational things that he did are we going to make part of the episode. And we actually changed the script based on, what was the one line we were just talking about yesterday?
I'm going to ride your butt across the sky. I didn't write that. That was all Alan, but we kept it because it was gold.
Yeah. So once in a while, and there have been a few times where...
Jay Farrow in Chameleon's Contest did the
Yeah.
same thing. Lots of
Yeah,
ad-lib.
so once in a while an actor will really come along and give us something that's legendary, and I think that that's one of those performances. And keep an eye out for his name. When you watch a Disney film, look for the name Alan Tudyk, Tudyk.
He's in every single
Every time you'd be
one.
like, how did he transform his voice to be that character? He every time he performs, he makes something special. It's kind of amazing.
Why did the lion get the meat?
Question is, why did the lion get the meat? Any guesses why the lion might have gotten the meat? How about right here in the circle round shirt? Any guesses? Lions love meat. What's it called when you're an animal that eats meat? Do you know what the word for that is? Do you just call it out? Carnivore, exactly. Lions are not vegetarians. So I think Sister knew if she gave the lion meat for a few days, they could build a relationship, a rapport, a friendship, and get the lion to trust her. Good question.
But kids, don't try this at home.
Oh, yes, please.
Why is Beer Ball more than one episode?
Why is beer ball in more than one episode? Wonderful question. Does that name sound familiar? Beer ball? Yes. We have featured beer ball in at least 3 episodes now, always played by a different actor, but the beer ball stories from India are delightful. There are collections of books that you can read about beer ball. I just find him so smart, so witty, but he's also friendly and warm. There's something about him. He's not conceited because he's so smart. He's very approachable, the kind of guy you'd want to hang out with. So we've already done 3 beer ball stories, and I am definitely eager to do a 4th and beyond.
Where do you find the actors and how do you get them to do it?
That's another fun question. When we went into this podcast, I knew I was going to be a writer. I knew I was going to be a host. I did not know I was going to be a casting director right out of Hollywood, but I have become one. A lot of actors come to us. They have people who work with them called agents and managers and publicists. And if the actor is about to release a children's book, or they're about to star in a TV show, or have a kids movie coming out, they'll get in touch with us and say, hey, could we bring them on Circle Round? They'd love to promote this thing that they're working on. Or they'll say, my client, this actor, she never gets to do kid stuff. She always does really grown-up stuff that isn't quite right for children, but she's really wanting to do something in the kids space. And that's what led to Stella and the Dragon. At that time, the actress Katherine Hahn, she'd been in a movie called Bad Moms. She was in a show called Transparent, both of which are pretty grown up, and she wanted to do something for kids. Since then, she's gone on to be in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Hotel Transylvania, but we were her very first kids project. She was interested in doing something for children.
What's the hardest instrument?
Ooh. Hardest instrument for Eric Shimelonis.
Well, I will say this. I'm learning new instruments all the time. So being a beginner is hard. And are any of you learning an instrument right now? It's hard, right? You have to practice, and you have to have your fingers or mouth or whatever learn what it is to make this instrument sing. So I'm doing that all the time. And I like to use it as advocacy for adults picking up instruments that they've always wanted to pick up. It's never too late. And it's really fun being a beginner because it stretches your mind and your body in different directions. So I would say whatever the last brand new instrument that I picked up for the first time is, it might have been the Dilruba, which is sort of a bowed sitar from India. Lots of moving parts, strings that bend in all different directions, and I had to really sit with it for a while. And it's bowed as well, so not only is the left hand doing all these crazy things on the fingerboard, but doing a bow at the same time, so that was pretty tricky.
That was in Catch You Later, the episode with the ghosts.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Why are the books different?
Why are the books different? Well, thanks to this young gentleman here who explained what it means to adapt, we were trying to find ways to make the books even more interesting for the eye. Very often in a Circle Round episode, you'll hear me describe a character's action. One of my favorites is, the farmer furrowed her brow. Things like that. In the book, you don't really need to say that because you're seeing it. So we took these episodes that I'd written for your ear, where you make your own mental pictures, and we took lines like that and changed them so that they were really serving the picture. Because in a picture book, really, for me, the pictures come first. So there were some adjustments that we made that way.
How do you learn how to play so many instruments so quickly?
Well, like I said earlier, I've been playing a lot of different instruments since I was maybe your age. So just the skill or the approach of learning instruments became a thing for me a long time ago. And you begin to learn that instruments are similar. So playing guitar can strengthen your playing of the cello, or playing of one flute can strengthen playing of a fife or another woodwind. So I've gotten to the point where it's pretty lucky, because I've always felt, do you know what it is to be spread thin? I'm spread pretty thin. But sometimes even playing unrelated instruments, because you're still using the musical part of your brain and your muscles. So just playing a lot of music helps play music on other things. but it's a lot of practice. And it's a lot of just getting used to playing new things.
Practice makes progress. And one quick thing I want to add about Eric and his instruments, if you join the Circle Round Club at a certain level, he does music videos every other week where he will demonstrate one or two instruments, very brief video, talk about the history of the instrument, what it's all about, and do a little demonstration. So it's a cool little inside look at a lot of the instruments that Eric plays.
You know, I continue to discover instruments that even I didn't know about. There are so many instruments, not only around the world globally, but back in time as well, instruments that sort of were lost to time. And I'm trying to resurrect some of these. So I'm hoping that you hear something that it inspires you, and maybe you'll explore it a little further. Maybe not playing it, but watching some videos or listening to recordings of these instruments in their regular habitat, in the music of the culture or the music of that part of history. There's just so much music out there that we have at our fingertips now, thanks to technology and 100 years of recording. So I hope that if you're inspired by an instrument, you'll listen to more music played on the instrument, because there's really such a treasury of music out there in the world for us.
How we all in Vermont now. Yes. Well, salamanders.
Well, welcome from Vermont.
Yes.
We love Vermont.
Did you make up the character Beerball, or is he a character that just shows up in many folktales?
Beerball is a well-known character in Indian folklore. He goes way, way back. You'll also have other really smart, tricky characters like Anansi. Anyone ever heard of Anansi? We've done some Anansi stories. Nasruddin, The Tale of the Unwelcome Guest, our book, is all about Nasruddin, who's a very clever trickster from the Middle Eastern culture. You'll find that in folktales from around the world. They'll have that one character who is like the ultimate wise trickster.
Why is the story Lion's Whisker right now?
Why is it right now? The reason it's the fourth book, truth be told, is we were having trouble finding an artist. We were looking for just the right artist. We wanted them to be, if not in Ethiopia, then near Ethiopia. We finally found Nikita in Kenya. It took us a while. And then I believe it was last summer, they were having either a very dry spell or a very rainy spell, and her village lost power. And we were not in touch for something like 2 or 3 weeks. So this book was also a little bit delayed because of that. But we are so pleased to bring it to you.
I'm from Houston, and
Houston, Texas?
yeah, and
And did you come here just for this?
no, I came here to see my dad's brother, and
And what's your question,
And-
Rebecca?
my question is, why didn't they get the Lion's Whisker at first?
Why do I think they went out to get it at first? Well, what did their grandmother tell them a lion's whisker might do? Do you remember? Who remembers what grandmother said? It would make a potion. And what did she say the potion would do? Make them get along. So they were convinced that this was the shortcut. All they had to do was get a lion's whisker and they would get along. But Grandma, she's a bit of a trickster herself. And in the end, they did get along, but was it really because of the lion's whisker? You can interpret it as you want. We have time for 2 more questions. Excellent.
What's your favorite instrument?
Mine or Eric's? I'll let you go first. What's your favorite instrument, Eric?
Oh, that's impossible. I love so many of them. But I will say the cello has been a favorite in the classical world because its voice is really, it can be 100 different sounds, short staccato sounds or long emotional sounds, and it's a lower voice, but it can go higher also. The cello can just do so much with 4 strings. That's kind of always been a favorite.
I'm going to say another instrument that you hear in the Circle Round theme song, which has cello, piano, clarinet, and accordion. I love the accordion. We've used it in so many Circle Round stories, most recently in The Pot of Gold, which we also recorded live in the Washington, D.C. area. Eric plays a mean accordion, and I don't know how he does it. One hand is doing one thing, the other, and then he's got to go the in and the out, and I just think accordion.
And that's the thing, it's such a different instrument, and this is why it's hard to pick a favorite. The cello is this austere, beautiful instrument, but the accordion is just a party in a box. It really is. It just changes the whole atmosphere.
Rebecca, we'll take this question, then we'll end with a question from Igor. And then anybody who didn't get to ask a question right afterwards, Rebecca's going to be in the lobby signing books, and all the kids who didn't get to ask their questions can ask Rebecca in the lobby afterwards. So here, and then we'll end with Igor.
How do you get the book onto the screen?
Well, this is a great opportunity to highlight the tech crew here at CitySpace.
Amazing.
This is a
staff here at
fantastic tech
CitySpace.
crew. And they make these for us. It's just beautiful work, and we're so lucky to have it, and we're always so happy to perform here because it sounds great and looks great, and the place isn't this just a great place to...
Beautiful.
So thank you, CitySpace Tech Crew, and thank you, Amy, and your whole crew, too.
Two things. Why do you want to adapt second? What's your favorite instrument? Both.
Do you talk to your parents at night? Do you ask them questions?
No, we only allow questions like this in public, so that's why he's...
So, Igor, why do we adapt folktales to episodes or episodes to books? Well, the publisher actually came to us thinking it would be a great idea to turn the folktales into books for a number of reasons, just to have them in a whole other medium, to reach new audiences. There might be people who process better visually than listening. A lot of people who are more like visual thinkers, visual learners. The books would be easy to send to bookstores all over the world. It's something to hold in your hand, whereas the podcast, you can't really touch the podcast. So they thought it would be a good idea to adapt them into books, and we thought it was a cool idea. The hardest part was picking just 4 out of 200-something.
I'd like to just speak to the podcast in general, though. It's something that we haven't necessarily said succinctly. Folktales are an oral tradition that go back to early humans. And this is how, for these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, for eons, we've learned about ethics and how to live a better life. And so it's really important to us to be carrying on this tradition, this oral tradition of passing on these stories, to learn the lessons. And what we try to do is to tell these stories in a little more of a modern way so that they resonate a little more with life now. And some of the symbolism in there makes more sense for a modern era. But you all are learning lessons that we've been trying to teach ourselves as humans for hundreds and hundreds of years. And we really take seriously that mission of passing on the ethical stories, and we hope that you'll take them. It used to just be grandma would tell the stories that she heard from her grandmother, and that's how they'd get passed on. And we're doing it in a slightly more modern way, but we hope that you'll, whether you have a device or not, tell the stories to your friends and to your children and to their children, and we'll keep learning these important lessons.
Absolutely. I think that's all the time we have for questions, but again, please come out and see us in the lobby. We're happy to answer questions, hear about your favorite episodes, sign books, and of course you can join up for the Circle Round Club, which will give you awesome benefits like bonus bedtime stories, Eric's music videos, ad-free episodes, personalized birthday messages from me. So I'll see you out there, and in the meantime, thanks for circling around with us.